First of all, the dichotomy of Western and Eastern thought, philosophy and such is an illusion. We often hear that the traditional or ancient Eastern way of thought is more internal and that our Western is more external. This is just storytelling that has been popularized over many recent decades in the West. For in the East there isn't such a thing, and from what I've seen from my travels and generally, the East is picking up the worst aspects from our modern Western culture, while we pick the best from their ancient traditions. In fact, what we have been doing in our Western world isn't that different, and we share the same philosophies under different names. The game changer was the dominance of the Abrahamic religions in our Western world. The concepts and symbols that are today easily attributed to the Eastern philosophies all exist and existed here too. Pythagoras created one of the first and most prominent recorded legacy of Western vegetarianism. He talked about the idea of animals like humans having a soul and that reincarnation can go in either direction. Also, the universal observation where animal killing is unhealthy and makes people easier with the acceptance of killing each other. Plato also talked about this in his The Republic, but more in a way of meat eating being a bad habit of murder, luxury, and desire when he described the ideal state. So having a meatless diet is a simple way of making life easier for more sentient beings. In our present world, it is also a more environmentally conscious decision. A meatless diet was referred to as a Pythagorean diet for years, up until the modern vegetarian movement began in the mid-1800s. Back to Pythagoras, he was born in 570 BC or 580, but who can really tell, on the island of Samos. Then he went on to study in various places of what is now part of Greece, Egypt, Iraq, and finally he established his own school in Crotone, Italy. His most famous work is on mathematics, music, science, and philosophy. One of these was the idea, the concept, or belief of reincarnation, which isn't new with him. It's an ancient concept, and for the Western man eclipsed by the organized Abrahamic religions that swept in over Europe and the Middle East. In what is today Afghanistan, Hellenistic culture and Buddhism merged together after Alexander the Great with the Bactrians conquered Afghanistan and parts of northern India. This syncretism culminated in the visual version of the Buddha that is now common. The real Buddha didn't want to be anthropomorphically represented, hence the aniconic depictions prior to what happened in Afghanistan, but the Greek artists who were liberated in anthropomorphic art did that anyway. The resulting personification of the Buddha helped the religion spread throughout Asia, also cementing the look of Buddha which we take for granted. Like in this Sumerian god statuette, we see the typical robe associated with Buddhism, but that is also something that was Hellenistically inspired in this time when Hellenistic culture and Buddhism met in Afghanistan. The many Buddhist concepts were not only inspired by the East-West relations created in Afghanistan during that time, they also originated on both places at the same time. In the Prajnaparamita, the rejection of reality of passing phenomenon as empty, false, and fleeting can also be found in Greek Pyrrhonism, a school of skepticism. Among these, we can include the concept of reincarnation and vegetarianism, the latter known in Hinduism as the Ahimsa principle. The Vedic and European wisdom traditions share the same ancient roots, and the common grounds are many and were over the years eroded by organized and politicized religion, like for us in the West with Abrahamic organizations. This was a short presentation of the Greco-Buddhistic connection and how vegetarianism and reincarnation is also part of Western tradition. For more information, check out the links below the video. Take care and all the best.